This bag of seeds cost me $10. Well, my first bag of seeds cost me $10. This is the identical bag. I just bought the bigger bag because I enjoyed it. This one cost $20, but bear with me. For the past month, I used it to replace part of my supplement stack. But for the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory support I was paying for, this does a better job. And honestly, I kind of wish I would have known it sooner, especially for me as a runner, but not just as a runner. As you can see, these are broccoli seeds. And I've been sprouting them in a mason jar with nothing but water to make broccoli sprouts. I've been eating a small handful every single day, and what's inside these sprouts is one of the most well-researched phytonutrients in nutrition science, with nearly 90 human clinical trials and decades of research behind it. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did, what the science actually says, what I actually noticed, and whether this is actually worth your time. I mean, and they're good. All right, real quick, let's talk about some basics. A sprout is a germinated seed that you grow entirely in water. No soil, no tray, pretty much just a jar. You eat the entire thing, the seed, the root, the little tiny root, and the stem. The whole plant is done in 3 to 5 days. A microgreen is actually grown in soil or like some sort of like growing medium. It takes 7 to 10 days and you're harvesting just the stem and the leaf. You pretty much just snip them right above the root with some scissors. They're the wispy little greens you see on fancy restaurant plates. I love microgreens. Both of them come from the same seed. Both are incredibly nutritious, but they're different products with different methods. And more importantly, for our purposes today, they have slightly different nutrient profiles. What I was growing for this experiment was sprouts in a mason jar on my counter over a couple days. And here's the thing that really got me. Sulforaphane, the specific compound that we're talking a lot about today, sprouts at the 3-day mark are actually the most potent stage of the entire broccoli plant's life. More potent than a microgreen and way more potent than broccoli itself. So sulforaphane is a naturally occurring compound found in vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, kale, and Brussels sprouts. But it's most concentrated by far in broccoli, and very most concentration is found in broccoli sprouts. Now here's what makes sulforaphane really interesting. It doesn't just act as a single nutrient. It activates a genetic pathway in your body called the NRF2 pathway. Think of NRF2 as the master switch for your body's own antioxidant defense system. When NRF2 gets activated, your body starts producing its own internal antioxidants. Compounds like glutathione, which is literally the body's most abundant antioxidant. So you're not just giving your body antioxidants from the outside, you're flipping the switch, which makes them on the inside. That's a fundamentally different system than taking a vitamin C capsule. And the research on sulforaphane is genuinely impressive. And the concentration numbers are wild. Research has shown that 3-day-old broccoli sprouts can contain up to 10 to 100 times more sulforaphane precursors than mature broccoli. That means that a single serving of sprouts can contain what you would get from a very significant portion of broccoli. And it's raw, bioavailable, and it's available for pennies. Now again, I want to put this all in the context. I don't want to overhype this. Sulforaphane is not a magic bullet. Human research is promising and it's still developing. I'm not here to tell you that sprouts cure anything. What I am here to tell you is that evidence supporting sulforaphane as a legitimate health-promoting compound is among the strongest for any phytonutrient that we know. So that's why I wanted to test this. That's why I added this into my diet. Can a handful of sprouts do every day do what my multivitamin does, what my antioxidant oils would do?
Hey gang, really quick, let me tell you about today's sponsor.
You've seen me talking about Miracle Made bed sheets for over a year now. It's the ad where I'm laying in bed talking about how great my sleep is. I always say if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made's sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. And that silver actually helps prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth. So it leaves your sheets feeling cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. That's fewer odors and fewer wash cycles. And they feel nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. They are incredibly comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. I used to wake up in the middle of the night sweating or freezing or just incredibly uncomfortable until I found Miracle Made's bed sheets. So gang, upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/SauceStache to try Miracle Made's sheets today. You'll save over 40%, and when you use promo code SauceStache, you'll get an extra 20% plus a free 3-piece towel set. They make an amazing gift, and with a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. So that's trymiracle.com/SauceStache, code SauceStache at checkout. Miracle Made, thanks for sponsoring today's video and for all of the incredible nights of sleep. So here's what I was replacing: my daily supplement stack. I got rid of my standard multivitamin, an antioxidant blend, vitamin C, vitamin E, and an anti-inflammatory supplement. I was using an omega-3 blend with like turmeric. It was a unique supplement. Combined, that was costing me roughly $40 a month. And honestly, I was taking them mostly out of habit, not because I had any sort of strong evidence that they were doing anything. I set some simple rules for myself. One, I was gonna keep a jar sprouting at all times, so I always had fresh sprouts. I ate about 2 tablespoons, just a big pinch of sprouts every day. I added it to something, if it was either like a smoothie, a sandwich, or just even on top of my breakfast. I didn't cook any of them. I'll explain why here in a minute. And I stopped all of my supplements, 100% of them. I wanted a clean break. And I wanted to track how I felt. Energy, digestion, any noticeable differences. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not a scientist. This is not a controlled study. I know that. But I wanted to live it for real and report back honestly. So really quick, how do you grow these? This is honestly the easiest thing you're gonna do in your kitchen. You need a wide mouth mason jar, a sprouting mesh lid. This makes it so much easier. You can use a lot of different things. I'm sure there's gonna be people in the comments saying, well, you could do it this way. I'm telling you, just using the sprouting lids changes everything. It's so easy. And organic broccoli seeds, labeled specifically for sprouting. Step 1, measure and rinse. Start with about 1 to 2 tablespoons of seeds. It sounds like nothing, but they expand a lot. Rinse them in your jar with cool water, then drain. Then fill the jar with cool water and let the seeds soak for at least 8 to 12 hours. I did this overnight. This is the first night. After this, you never soak them again. Step 3, and this is the continued step, is you rinse and drain twice a day, every day, no exceptions. We actually went down to Monica's parents' house for the weekend, so I had to bring my seeds with me. I just couldn't leave them sit. Once they're rinsed, you tip the jar at a 45-degree angle. You can use a bowl. You can use one of these little fancy stands I bought. They're really inexpensive. The angle is important. You don't want them to be completely vertical. You want them to be around 45 degrees because you want air to be able to get in and kind of dry them off. These are growing in kind of damp, maybe even slightly humid because they're in the jar, slightly humid environments. And that could cause mold and bacteria growth that you really want to avoid. And lastly, up until the very last couple of minutes, you want to keep them out of direct light. Sprouts don't need light to grow. They actually do better in darker environments. I just kept mine on the countertop away from direct sun. If they get a little bit of light from like the lights in the kitchen, that's perfectly fine. On harvest day, you can throw them in the sun for just a few minutes. They're gonna green up fairly quickly. That actually helps kind of create peak nutrients. Possibly, it may help that, but it also does just kind of make them green. When you harvest them, just rinse and drain, throw them onto a paper towel, pat them dry, and then you can throw them in a container and store them in your fridge for a couple of days. At this very moment, 3 days in, they are at their peak nutritional value and they will degrade as they go. So that's why you want to have a couple batches going on a constant cycle. So that way every couple of days you have a fresh batch, and you're going to go through these pretty quick if you're like me. I enjoy them. If you want more flavor, you can go up till day 5. If you want even more flavor, you could let them sit in the sun for a couple of hours. Make sure you put a paper towel in your container, and yeah, they'll last for about 3 or 5 days. Total hands-on time, I would say collectively over the entire thing, just the back and forths of rinsing, is about 5 minutes. Okay, my favorite part, an honest debrief. What actually happened while I was eating these? Nothing. But that's kind of like taking vitamins. I did notice some things, but really nothing. I did get new blood work and I did notice some changes. My inflammation markers were down, which is kind of the direct point of this. But there is no way for me to know if this is what caused it. It could have been a change in my running and training. It could have been really anything. Do I want to believe that this helped? Yes, but without real, actual scientific data, without being in a controlled situation, there's no way to know. Am I happy this marker came down? Yes, for sure. Now, I did this a few months ago. It's something I was going to be sitting with to see if I was going to make a video about it, but I thought it might be kind of fun. I did notice that my digestion was a little bit better at the end of it. I still eat these all the time. I just don't eat them, I don't have to eat them every single day. That could have been because of my fiber intake increasing. I started my eating more fiber every day for 30-day challenge. But sprouts do have real fiber, and they do have a thing called glucosinate, which actually does affect digestion. I think for most people, the digestion thing is going to be the most observable effect of doing this every day, or just adding them into your diet very regularly. In a 4-week study of 48 adults eating broccoli sprouts, 20 grams daily improved digestion and constipation symptoms. Now, my digestion is something that I'm always working on. I had some serious digestive issues for years, and I would say 99% of that is fixed. As a long distance runner, I do get a very upset stomach, and I'm talking like 18 to 20 mile runs, and it is mostly from the amount of carbohydrates that I have to consume during those runs. It's something that's very well known. So fixing that and working on digestion and just kind of any little bit helps kind of thing, that's something I'm always looking for. So there was an improvement. I would come home from my runs feeling just a little bit better. I am constantly working on this, and that has been a noticeable improvement. So now let's talk about money, because this is kind of where the whole point of this video was. My old multivitamin and my antioxidant, anti-inflammatory supplements would cost me roughly $35 to $40 a month. My original sprout setup was $10 for the bag of seeds, $5 for a sprouting lid, like sprouting jar lid. I already had the jars. I would say I would use maybe $3 to $4 worth of seeds per month, no soil, no electricity, nothing like that. So I went from $35 a month to $4 a month. And the nice thing is, the thing that I feel good about is I'm not getting a capsule that may or may not be absorbed. I'm getting a fresh, raw, whole food with the enzyme fully intact, with the bioavailability from a sprout that is really just kind of hard to beat. So I think the savings are pretty obvious. So a few important things to know before you go buy some seeds. One, eating it raw is non-negotiable. Heat destroys the phytonutrients. If you blend it last into a smoothie, however you're gonna eat them, always just make sure they're last and they're raw. Rinse really well, the entire process. These are growing in a jar in kind of like a warm, humid environment. Rinsing twice a day is 100% necessary. Do not skip a rinse. You can over rinse, that's okay. Just don't under rinse. Keep them clean, drain them full, make sure the jars are tilted so that way there's airflow. You don't want to just set them straight up and down. The tilting kind of helps move air through. If anything smells or looks slimy, these are kind of dry. If anything feels slimy or off, toss it, just start a new batch. It's also why I like to do 2 batches at a time. 3, the seed source matters. Make sure they're microgreen seeds. Even if you're not growing microgreens, it's the same seed. If you can find organic, you can go that route. These are non-GMO, so I mean, I'm okay with that. I really like these seeds. Like I said, this is my second batch. I got the small bag at first, and then I went to the double size. Garden seeds are sometimes treated with fungicides. You probably are not going to find very many broccoli garden seeds, but still, broccoli microgreen seeds are the way to go. 4, I'm trying to be as frank as I possibly can. This doesn't replace if you're low on a certain nutrient. Make sure you take that supplement. Broccoli sprouts are exceptional. I have noticed a difference, but they don't cover everything. If you can, get blood work done so you can see what nutrients you possibly might need, if you need any. Otherwise, if you're taking supplements blindly, you're probably just wasting a lot of money. 100% honestly here, you don't need supplements unless you need them. And then 5, just like fiber, start with a small amount. There is a significant amount of fiber in this, so you are increasing your fiber, and sulforaphane is potent. Some people do experience some digestive issues in the first few days of doing this. So start a teaspoon, just a small pinch a day added to some food, and then work up from there, just to see how you kind of go. I personally worked myself up to big, huge handfuls of it. I love this stuff. I don't believe you can overdo it, but again, these things are amazing. So yeah, I'm not gonna go back to my multivitamin. I'm probably going to shift in and out of my omega support because I am low in that personally. For running, the super high dose, about a cup of this, before a very long run, I'm talking like 16, 18, 20 mile runs, there is a lactic threshold difference. You do feel that. That is probably one of the biggest things that you actually feel. I'm starting to see a lot of broccoli style supplements coming out for runners because of that. It does the job of a very expensive product that helps regulate lactic threshold. I'm going to keep this around just because I personally love sprouts. I love them. I'm getting ready to sprout a bunch of other things actually. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Instead of buying them at the grocery store for, $20 for a tiny little container, I'm just going to have endless amounts at home, from a jar, and it's so incredibly inexpensive. I am keeping my vitamin D and magnesium because, again, I'm low in vitamin D. Magnesium helps me sleep. Magnesium glycinate, actually, helps me sleep. But yeah, the 2 minutes rinsing these in a jar every day, this is huge. I know sprouting isn't like, this big new thing, but This is cool. I wish I would have started doing this a long time ago. So if you want to try this, I'll link to the jars and to this in the description below. If you felt like this video was useful, give me a like. Let me know what else you think I should sprout. I already know of a couple things I am going to be sprouting. So yeah, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video. Give it a watch, and I will see you next time.